All right, I have 6:30. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Last meeting was Larry Harmon's last with the board after several years, and we appreciate all his time and efforts for the town of Marshall. This evening I had spoken to Dale Ryan, who was a previous board member, and asked whatever I could do to get him to come back and help out, and he has agreed to be a member of the board again if it's our wish to vote on that. So at this time, I would open the floor for any questions, if there's any. If not, I would accept a motion to have Dale as a board member.
I don't have any questions. No.
Okay.
So I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we go ahead and approve Deb to take over Larry Harmon's vacancy on the board.
And I will second that. We have a motion and a second for Dale to become a member of the town council again. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Welcome, Dale.
We will have to have you go to the courthouse to be sworn in.
I did that last time, didn't I?
Yes, you did. So before you can be a voting member,
Right.
that needs to be done sometime in the next 30 days. And
So
if you will do that.
I can't do that.
You probably could. I think historically we usually have the clerk of the court do it though.
I say clerk of the court did it last time.
Well, I say, because I did, that's why I was surprised I could do Brady.
No, you could. I researched that before you did it.
Okay, that's why I was just surprised if I could do
I
that.
think
I could
Brady's
do-
different though, isn't he? Because he's a town
Marshall. Yeah.
under the.
Yeah.
We have always just followed that.
I mean, I could research it again.
No, that's
for
fine,
sure,
he can
but
do that, I don't.
by the time I do that, he probably will have been in Rockville at
That's
some point.
fine.
So you can't do it, Kathy, is what he's saying.
I said I'd have to research it to double check that you could. But, I mean, if you want me to do that,
I could be in there, that's not a problem.
Well, thank you, Dale.
She can't do it tonight, I guess, is what I'd tell you.
Yeah. And you might be in town before you try to catch up with her. She's
Well-
busy. She's always busy. I see her vehicle a lot of times on the road.
I mean, if you'd rather her do it, I can probably find a
He
way
might
to
get
get
that a
that.
lot quicker, because then that way, if we need to do it, because I don't know if we'd have to call another meeting,
For what?
if I had to do it, I mean,
I don't know.
so it might be.
No.
This will be
I
definitely
would
easier.
probably,
Yeah, this
it's a
would be
different
easier.
statute, but this, I mean, I know that the clerk can do it, whereas I'd have to research
That'd
and
probably
draft
be the
something.
easiest.
Easiest for me.
Under old business, I did receive quotes for, one was sidewalk repair for the damaged sidewalk over here at the corner store. And that came from Mick Bardos. And I have a second quote, which would be to replace sidewalk in front of the building next door here. We chose not to put new sidewalk in at the time we did the south end of Marshall, just because there was a chance that building was going to be torn down, and I did not want an excavator or something driving across new sidewalk. So now it's potentially time to go ahead and do that. These are a little hard to read. They are copies of the quote for across the street, and I have copies here. Oh,
Sorry.
Do we know on this one for that repair for over here across the street, is that going to go against that building because they're responsible for this?
I spoke to Jay about that and sent him the documentation I had along with pictures. And so we know that the former owner of that building, who had it probably 60 days, 90 days, is responsible. I was standing there when they did it, or was walking up the sidewalk. So Mick said he could get to that at this cost.
So which one's this one for, Kevin?
That is for across the
Across
street here.
Okay.
That's the handicap ramp all the way down to the alley there. So,
What was it they pulled, I mean, what were they doing where they pulled across there?
well, he had a
I didn't
dump
see the
truck.
picture, but I mean, were they doing something, dumping gravel or what?
Yeah.
He was filling up that area
Okay.
with stone.
He was trying to clean up that back area because he
Yeah.
got that fencing and everything, and then he filled with stone trying to get it all so it was safe.
Okay,
And so,
that's what to make sure I have the facts right.
if that's hard to see, I have a better copy here. Can you see that, okay? That is, and then this one would in turn be the quote for the sidewalk next door.
Which is more.
It is more, yes, more. So I have, as I said, I sent it to Nick. I've talked to Brady, our town marshal, about it, and he and Nick need some, or Nick, you may give me guidance to talk to him about where you want him to go with this.
Do we know, you'd indicate where I can get it. You don't have the address, so I'll have to go get that then.
For the new owner,
No, the old owner.
the old owner, I know where it is, I just don't, it's down here
I
on the
can get the
corner.
address for you.
Okay, because I'll probably send him a demand letter asking him to pay for the replacement, and if he doesn't do that, then we can look at small claims court.
Okay,
That's probably the path I'd go. I don't think there's a crime here, it's just he's caused damage and hasn't repaired it.
right.
Needs to repair it. And the estimate would be, the cost involved in that. So,
Yes.
that gives me what I need. Unless Braden thinks there's something else there, but I just view it as a small claims civil suit.
Right. As I said, I was there when it happened and talked to him. He admitted, he was at fault, and they would take care of that. But
All right. So I'll probably send him a demand letter if we can find his address.
okay.
I'll send it to you.
Okay, great.
Because I got it from the water.
Okay.
Since that time, the corner store has changed hands
Yes.
now, and so I don't know the new owner. I know the name, but I don't know who they are. I would like to open up some kind of dialogue with them, and I talked to Nick a little bit about that, because we still have the same issues of the corner store that we had from the very beginning, that it needs to be taken care of. And so I don't know, other than you're planning on sending a letter to a new owner?
Yep.
Okay.
And then from there, if they don't respond, we'd be looking at filing a violation on them for non-compliance with our ordinances.
Okay.
I can't transfer the case into them, but I can file a new case on them. So
Yeah.
the goal being just get the property fixed. Years and years and years of chasing them around on it. So.
Since there are 2 judgments on that property originally, when it changed hands, does that mean that wasn't satisfied?
Right. Nobody paid the judgment. There's still a lien of about $5,000 on the property. So whoever purchased it didn't get title insurance, so their title's subject to the lien. Because I never did anything to release the lien because they didn't even confirm with us when they transferred it.
Okay.
So
And so the new owner, if they weren't informed, same thing could
right.
happen?
Property's subject to a lien. Whoever owns it has a lien on it.
Okay.
We sit before their ownership right. So anybody that ever wanted to put title insurance or borrow against that property isn't going to be able to with the lien on it.
Okay.
So it's just they're doing cash transactions and not getting good title. So their title's not a clean title, it's subject to a judgment.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to foreclose the lien on it, you could, but then you'd be in charge
Right.
of the property as a town. So,
Well, I hope we have a good relationship with the new owner and can move forward, but
It's supposed to be a woodworking shop, isn't it?
I have not heard
That's
anything.
what I'm saying.
I don't even
Okay.
know who bought it.
They used to live in
I don't know
Marshall.
anything.
And they left this summer, so and she didn't say why they were leaving. And then when he told me who had bought it, I was like, well, I know who that is. After I saw the address,
you have an address for them too?
The new one?
the new one is.
Yeah, I have it here,
Oh, okay.
off of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's the same address that I had to send her the last water bill to.
Okay, I'll get that from you after.
That's how I put 2 and 2 together.
I'll probably just send them a letter and ask them to reach out to me. So.
So, sounds like we're okay with where we're headed on the corner store, and we'll let the process work there. The second one would be the quote that we have for next door, and as you look at that number, just curious of your thoughts. Those are 2 different
That's
ones.
what I was looking, make sure that he had a copy too.
He does not have a copy of the second one.
You don't
The-
have this one.
That's one
Okay.
is across the street and one is for
Yeah,
this.
this, right here.
The higher
No,
number.
This is 4. This is a higher, this is for a different,
Oh,
that was just a better copy of this one.
Oh,
So you
okay.
could read it.
Oh, sure.
The 850.
Yeah.
Turn me up, an old man. I didn't see it again.
What's this part?
Good, I thought,
Ballards.
I'll have to look at it.
Remove it for 7
But it
twenty.
says with-
That's more like
I
it.
didn't know if that was for the corner up here. Did you want
I was
to
reading
that
5
one
ten.
of
God, I
things?
know it's good.
Exactly, I'm sorry.
Okay, so that's not, this
Yeah.
is just for the.
Yeah.
Oh, but they want,
Okay.
he wants
If
to
you-
put
if
2
you go-
ballards in too,
If you look at that top part,
Or the
that
ballards.
32 is for the next door. That-
right here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the bollards are the ones the semi ran over here at the corner,
Okay.
and I had
Okay.
him take a look at digging down, burying them in quite a bit of concrete, so that we don't have that again.
Okay.
My question
So
to
I have a
you,
question on that then, on those ballards. And it says 2 ballards, kind of hard to make out that last one, but in place and pour, or new 6-inch ballards and poured if poured with slab. Is that 2 different statements here, or is?
it is two different ways of doing that.
It looks like either way is gonna cost the same amount.
Right.
Yes,
So that's what it looks like to me. I was just trying to figure out, so what's this slab, what he's talking about there then?
I'm assuming he's just gonna do a full pour around where both bollards. The reason we put those bollards in was, that's part of a crosswalk for handicap we had to put in. And we had the gentleman that paved North Main Street put those in. The problem was, the concrete's only about that deep.
Right, they're not
Right.
deep enough.
Yeah, so Mick could use those, dig down and pour a heavy base with the post, or I guess or put new 6-inch bollards with a slab of some kind.
So they wouldn't probably put a slab, and they probably wouldn't be as deep.
I mean,
As
did
what
he have a
he's-
preference which way to go?
He did not. When I told him about it, matter of fact, I didn't even walk up to the corner. I told him what we wanted that day to take a look at it and come up with a solution there. We just have to keep in mind that has to be maintained as a handicap accessible, pebbled approach on that sidewalk.
Right.
And isn't there drainage right there too?
Yeah.
There is a drain there on that corner.
So,
I guess that's part of one of my question was, if you pour a slab, the slab gonna be higher in the road, and not gonna get the water off to the drain then? You kinda got that problem on the other side of the road now, and the elevator took that, tore up rock and put down there, and they made a dam, that's where they're getting that hole right there. Hydraulic pressure. The water can't get to that drain on the
Yeah.
east side of the road now.
It is, yeah, those drains have helped immensely right there in the corner in general. They're taking care of a lot of the
Water not
water.
standing in the road and
Yes.
stuff and getting away a little bit.
Yeah.
I do know that Ted was telling me there was a process. I guess I'm thinking, I wonder what Mick would which way does he recommend?
I don't know, and I would be willing to, if we choose to go with him on this quote, is to let him make that determination based on some discussion with keeping that as a handicap accessible, which one is going to,
Hold
be the
up,
best,
because they're
yes.
gonna probably get hit again.
I guarantee you that they'll get hit again.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want the post coming over this time. If the semi wants to drive on top of them, then he's gonna.
He's
be in
gonna get
trouble.
stopped and you have to,
Yeah. I don't know how he missed the tree when he came around there.
yeah.
Do we know who hit it?
No, we have pictures of the semi that came through there at night. It was at New Year's Eve, I think, or New Year's morning that it came through there. But we could not identify any of the numbers on the door of it.
And then you guys pushed him up from that time, didn't you?
No.
Okay. They were hit before then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they were
leaning.
bent over and then you
Correct.
tried to fix them and then they got pushed over
Yeah.
again. Okay.
So we can table this, knowing that we're not going to put a sidewalk in now. We can go ahead and act upon this next door and the bollards, or we can not do the bollards and act on this next door. I would say it would be, in
It's
my
gonna be-
opinion, we do both if
We
we're
do
going to
both
do
because
it.
it's gonna be cheaper, because it's gonna end up and cost more to have them come back and just do that little small
Yeah.
project.
See, our problem is, it's a 4-yard minimum. And so we're paying for more concrete on that
Right.
particular job than what we have to have.
Same, well, because it really isn't gonna matter. Is he giving us a break at all, since if he comes and does both theirs and this one over here?
I'm looking at the numbers there and thinking that's highly probable. Yeah,
That's
he's already
kind of-
here.
That's what I'm
I
thinking.
thought that was like two statements here,
concrete,
so
like a
I'm reading
curb
that
or walk
different.
replacement or anything.
I read this, 2
Because
ballards,
then you could
I
use that.
had,
excavator
yeah, I had
in
thought
place,
along those lines,
new
but
6
didn't
inch
come up with
place.
Yeah.
a real need.
Yeah, he's got two different
Posts.
options.
This takes a decent amount of concrete right here, because it's a wide,
Yeah.
it's like
But
a
either
5
option
or
is
6
gonna
foot
cost
wide
the same, it's just
sidewalk.
gonna be up to us to which way, and talking with him which way he said it's gonna work.
Oh, the question was, I didn't know, type of slab he's talking about.
Right.
I like that if you put back up, yes. That counts for anything.
The reason I mentioned curb is that you don't use much concrete doing that, and you could probably get a fairly decent distance on curb.
Right. Yeah. And that could be part of the discussion
Do
with
you have a
him.
copy of this for us?
I do not.
Okay.
I can send you his quote.
Let's take a picture.
I'm gonna have a better quote than what I have. So what's your thoughts, Darla? To proceed or to hold and have a further discussion at our February meeting?
I think we need to go ahead and, my opinion is go ahead and proceed, because, I mean, I've had concrete work done before, so the price is about
Mhm.
with that. Plus, being at this building here, we definitely need to proceed on that before change ownerships again, or we get it tackled, or get it
Well,
put on.
we
the
have,
list.
you're talking about the corner store.
I have to
We-
give them a 30-day letter before I can proceed on it.
Right, but we could go ahead and get it all fixed, and it's all,
Yeah, and just collecting off them would be on the back end then, instead of the front end.
so Kathy, would our accounts be able to hold this until that gets done? What does that look like in our books
Well, we can use public safety.
with
yeah,
those?
With those with sidewalks.
And is he getting ready to possibly open up in March? Is that any type of a liability for the town if the sidewalk's not in good shape?
The sidewalk's not horrible, it's just not,
Right out here.
yeah. It's well worn and has been,
So I don't pay attention to it really.
it's been pitted over the years. And
Okay.
it needs to be brought up to the quality of the other sidewalks. So he has told me he's ready to open here
Well,
soon.
that's thinking, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
You
he
could
said.
always post it
Yeah,
in a
right.
commercial
We got his heat going
walk
2
or
weeks
something
ago.
like that as a
Put
sign.
the water softener for
Yeah.
him.
While we're working on it,
Yeah.
or some kind of caution sign there.
Okay. So do I have a motion from you on this?
I go ahead and say, make a motion, we move forward.
Okay. I'll second that. Just as a point of discussion, would it be prudent for us to go ahead with both projects at the same time?
Yeah,
That's-
we know what the cost difference is, I mean,
Okay.
to fix it, so, you know, we have the quote, that's what we're gonna ask for if we go to court, is the quoted price, so.
Okay. Would you like to amend your motion then to include both? Both
Yes,
projects?
amend it, that we go ahead and we proceed with both projects at the same time.
And I will second that. So we have a motion and a second that we do the repairs quoted by Mick Bartos.
And that's for the concrete only, you're not talking about the ballards yet, are you?
That Ballard
would
says
include
included,
both.
both
Include
quotes.
Because-
all 3 things?
Yes.
All 3
Okay, so
things.
there's 3 things on there to discuss.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Just so we're clear, the quote you sent me is only for across the street, you have different quotes for the other 2, right?
Yeah, that's separate.
I was looking
You're
at it.
correct.
That's how it looked to me on the email you sent me, but,
You're exactly right.
okay. So the total cost would be more than what I had on the email then. But only that part's attributable to the owners across the street, or former owner.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
You should have the second quote coming to you. Do you have the other large print
Yeah, he
by
does.
chance?
The large print one?
Yes.
Yeah, I wrote it down. So I was on with it, Dave. Oh, that's right. There you go.
We all have problems with our printers trying to.
Yeah, that was
Print. It
kind of
was-
difficult. I don't have anything that falls at all under old business left online. Anything you can think of? I don't know that you had anything.
No,
Coming back
yeah, just the things we talked about on the phone. That's new business stuff, really.
Okay. Do you want to go over this?
That's what yeah, I mean, you want to discuss that now?
Yeah, let's go ahead and discuss
Okay.
that now. We're going to change this arrangement in here so it works better.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Go ahead, Kathy, would you?
We just need to discuss our salary on the payroll for 2022 to see if we want to make any changes or adjust anything. We up to last year, so I just kind of went with what we kept from last year. The board members is listed there to get paid annually in December. The town clerk, we upped it last year a little bit, and that gets paid quarterly. And the town reimbursed the water, because it all gets paid out of the water, so it makes one payment at the end of the year. The water operator, we upped him last year. Town marshal, we upped him. And cleaning lady, we've left her alone. We've not done anything new with her.
And we added mileage last year.
Well, I haven't got that far yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought,
And then the subcontract work for anybody that does any work, mainly Jason. Other than when he goes and shuts meters off, if he's specific, all he does is go shut some meters off, he gets paid by the meter. But if he's out working on repairing, he gets paid by the hour. So, and then our attorney fees, we get charged quarterly normally. And then mileage last year, we put at 44 cents a mile. Is that still?
That was the state rate. I can check if they've upped it or not.
That's what I was wondering.
And I didn't do anything last year with running out to the pump house or anything, but I might start doing that this year on mileage. It's either exactly 5 miles or exactly 6 miles to go out and back. But I try to do it when I'm doing something else, but sometimes I don't. I forget. So, if anybody has any questions, any concerns, anything you need to,
No, the thing is to see if that's up to, the mileage is up to state rate, because gas prices have gone up.
I thought I seen somewhere the other day, it's 52 cents a mile.
well,
Sure, it's
I think
what
I
I
had
said.
federal things
Okay,
that
yeah,
I had,
I'm
so
pretty sure that's what I saw.
I don't have a state.
you need this.
Yeah, because then I have to put it into my gateway. And have a copy of it.
Well, Nick's looking that up. Are there any other questions on this other than the mileage?
I don't have any.
And mileage, like, would be for Tom, when if he turns in any mileage when he goes anywhere.
Right.
Trainings, yeah.
Yeah, any of his trainings or,
So the state has adopted a sliding scale now, effective in 2021, and it depends on what the average fuel cost is at the time, and they do it biannually or semi-annually, like every 6 months basically. And so the average fuel cost is between like $3.32 to $3.57, and then the mileage reimbursement is 42 cents. And it goes up from there or down from there depending on the average cost. So that doesn't really, I mean, unless we're going to do that.
Yeah, I don't think.
What were we at?
44.
44.
So, yeah, so for that the average fuel cost would have to be $3.84 to $4.09. So you're probably still
So 44
maybe
cents.
toward the high end actually.
Yeah.
So the highest they go is 48 cents a mile. But you'd have to have an average fuel cost of $4.88 to $5.13 for that to apply. And I don't think we're there.
I'd be in favor of leaving it as it is, approving this as is unless you have
I
an issue with
agree.
it.
I don't have any issue with it.
You want to make a motion for that, Darla?
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and approve.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
The federal rate's 56 cents.
You have claims and payroll folder?
Oh, I didn't take Larry's name off of there. We'll have to do that next time. Did you ever make me my permit?
No. Got it.
Didn't you tell me that I should have had some money coming on my small claims? Because I haven't seen anything from that yet. I think that was a.
They quit telling me things.
I have it on my notes here that she had several small claims with you that she was supposed to follow up since she didn't make it to the last meeting.
I just have one now, but I'm going to be giving him another one here shortly. I'm going to give him another week and it's going to go.
Alright. Yeah, I'll send Nicole a message right now. Make sure we'll get that to you.
Those transposed. In VFD rather than
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
I probably typed it in there backwards.
It's too fast.
Alright, I sent them a message, so they'll remember. My memory's not great.
Okay. And then like I said, I'm going to give it another week and then I'm going to send you the other one.
What I do with those is if they pay us, I just put it in our trust account, and then we'll issue a check out of our trust account to Marshall. So it's probably sitting in there.
We just have the one, that's all we have.
You did not send the bill through on the drain.
No, I didn't get to like the last day of the month, so it's going to January's.
She said she'll do that. She forgot.
Yeah, I was trying not to have any outstanding checks, and one is missing from November. She says she cashed it, but it's not come through. Yeah.
I think one of them paid us by credit card. Maybe I'm not sure, but I think she did.
We just have one.
I thought she was paying by credit card,
Oh.
but maybe she didn't. Yeah, she said she'd do that first thing tomorrow. So.
That was just for your information. And he is working along lines.
I talked to him about this, reading those numbers. We're only getting a reflection of when he is logging in and out. He has had, I know, 2 felony arrests and then another arrest, and he's talking about the time that's being spent outside of those hours
This is
that
our,
he's on the
what
clock.
we spent our town
So
funds.
we don't know if he's got 8 or 10 hours or 15 hours beyond what our sending you.
That he's doing, what does he entail that on that? He has to report then, has to.
Doing all the charges and everything.
Probably
I don't know
seeing-
exactly what an officer does after they initially
He
write a
would
ticket.
just send the report to the prosecutor. So
That
he
must
just,
be the
he just
report.
drafts the narrative of the report basically, and then any internal documents he would have. For,
And that was the other thing, he had said that he wanted to use my computer, and I never heard any more out of it, because
I talked to him once about it, that he needed to get in touch with you.
that could be too, he could just sit down and keep a log in the office that he come
Yeah.
in and he worked on the computer for half an hour or an hour, and
Right.
that way it's just, we're backed up when we get audited too, that we know for sure when
Right.
we have a minimum of 30, that he's doing office work, which is fine.
Correct.
So.
And we need to work that out. And I would like to have a contract, Nick, for him.
And I've seen too on those emails that I get by being in that clerk thing, should we have something in writing since you've let him take the car home now? Because they have ordinances that say allowing, I've seen who else has an ordinance on letting take the police car home.
I don't know.
You typically do that if you're going to allow it. I mean, yeah, I don't know. it's legally required, but that is the common practice, is to amend any ordinances as to take home vehicles and how that's regulated since it's town property. But I can put one of those together too, though.
So are you definitely gonna continue that or let him
Well,
bring it?
that's
Okay.
all subject to where he's going to live.
Okay.
Because that was the discussion that I had previously was, he was going to be at home for a period of time and then he was moving, and I don't know where he was moving to.
Now that he's up there, he may go closer that way.
I don't have any idea.
I haven't talked to Brady.
Okay. We might hold off on doing something like that. That way we're just covered if they come back and,
Yeah, typically that'd be in like an employee handbook or things like that, but with us having limited employees, maybe
Right.
just a resolution or ordinance to, if we decide to do that.
Okay.
okay, we'll just keep that back.
Because I don't think Jeff was taking it home, was he?
Jeff was not.
You did that first, and then the old one, and then the new one stayed.
Yeah, the deputies preceding Jeff all did. Jeff did until we got the brand new car, and then it stayed in town.
30 hours a month minimum, is that what we
That
we
is
said?
correct,
Were there
yes.
any other requirements we put on the marshal position? I mean, do you want
I mean,
to
we've asked
clock
that he,
in or log in and log out through dispatch? Is
he
that-
does,
yeah.
yes, log in.
Log in, shift for dispatch. All right.
Do we need anything for like the gun and stuff that we've bought? Any of that need to be, it's town property, anything?
You want it returned when he leaves, I would assume. Okay. So, return property. Well, if we're doing one, we might as well put that in there. Yeah.
That
I'll
way
put together a template from the other communities I have, and
Okay.
we can kind of not recreate the wheel. And if we want to
That'd be
add things to it, we can do
Add
that.
really-
Yeah. Vests, things like that. I
Yeah,
assume
that-
he's probably using his county vest unless you guys bought one.
I thought we got one.
We got the cover, the shell, but he's using the plate for the county because it's made to fit his body.
Yeah, they do that.
You have to turn that back in?
I have no clue how they.
Well, he'll
Well,
probably
he
be
gets a
issued
new
one
one.
for up there also, though.
Oh, up the.
But yeah, typically it would be turned back to whoever he's working for. So Park County would get it back unless they have a policy that lets them keep it.
Right.
And I don't know what their policy is. I don't recall on that. That would be their merit board deciding their policy on that.
Well, when we talked about the vest, he mentioned, he said, it doesn't do any good if you buy a second plate or vest, because somebody else comes in, it will not fit.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's what they do. They come in, they tailor it for the
Yeah.
person. So he's right.
So
At least that's what other officers told me.
That makes sense.
They're about $300.
Should I sign these, Kevin?
Not tonight.
Okay, I
Yeah.
did sign it. I was
Okay.
looking at it. I like the way you do this, so. Mary, you sign those
Yeah.
individually?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
it
like
came up
that.
because it got to be so many, it took so long.
I
so-
know, it took so long, yes.
And then I gotta take Larry's name off there and put yours on there.
I like the way you did that.
Claims for the town totaled $20,444.23. Claims for the waterworks was $3,195.05. And this is a reflection of the hours that he logged in with Park County, right?
Yes, it's
Okay.
off of this log that I get.
Is it just in a paper login or?
Here, I'll show you
He
what
logs
he
in
does.
just like county officers do through dispatch, and they track all of that.
Here, I'll show it to you.
That way too, they know that there's somebody here in this area. If
Right.
they get some report, then they know.
Oh, I don't have
that
one
they've got
here.
somebody.
Right.
I thought because I paid him today, it'll go on January's. But yeah, it shows what time he logged in and if he makes a stop, so it'll say what the stop was for, and it has every thing, then it shows when he went off duty.
And this is just his pay so far.
And the
County
number of hours that you have to work each quarter, or each month.
What was it? 6,000 a year. What's the salary? So I can put that-
6.
6 per year. Okay.
questions over those sheet of hours? It doesn't reflect the total 30 hours on there, is what we were saying earlier, because we don't track all the things leading up to the time he goes on duty or afterwards when he's doing
I guess
reports.
that's what I was really asking, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to put a number on that. I guess he could put it on there as he's doing that.
And he just give you an itemized statement.
Yeah,
If that's
Like I said, if he
what-
keeps a log, like I said, he goes and uses my office, which there's no reason for him really not to, because he's got a key to it, and he can use
Yeah.
the computer and the printer's
Well,
right
that's
there.
how we did it. You logged on your laptop.
He just put, I was in the office from 10 to 12 or whatever.
For his office hours, but he's doing
Yeah.
his paperwork.
Yeah.
That would be helpful for you.
Yeah,
Because he doesn't want to be on with the dispatch during that time, because otherwise they could call him and,
correct.
at least we've got something to know that, you know, he is putting off, and then he could just, you know, we'll just know that's office hours.
and that helps us know how much time office hours,
It
to look at
takes.
salary, to get more of an idea how many hours, make sure we
Right.
know how many hours they're doing.
Yeah, because I
to
mean,
know
we're all
if they're
trying,
going
because there
over.
was no accountability before,
Right.
until we started even having them log in.
And plus, we really didn't have a clue before totally how much time it took, so we didn't know if we were overpaying, underpaying, or what we
Right.
were doing, so.
Okay. Do you have anything else, Kathy?
Water. And I think we might, well, we may have just found our leak. Because, not there, but
Yeah, but
the last 3 days I've used about 40 to 50,000 gallons a day.
At your house?
No. And, but, the people that, east of town here, that I
Yeah.
talked to you about,
yeah,
Jason just went to turn their water off. And he said the yard is flooded.
okay.
And so they got a leak between the meter and their house.
So how much were we using a day?
About 50,000 gallons.
Wow.
But they'd already pumped out their neighbor's basement, I guess. Not knowing the water was coming.
That's a substantial leak.
Yeah.
It's a huge leak.
So I'm anxious to
50,000?
see now that
Yeah.
the water's shut off and see if it goes back down, which I don't know if I'll,
Since we did the work for the hydrants and the valves and things in town, we dropped down, we've been running between 18 and 19,000 a month.
Right.
a day.
Or a day, I'm sorry.
day.
And so 50,000.
That's a big jump.
It's huge, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jason had to get the sump pump to pump the meter out. And they asked him, Jason said that the ring looked like it was cracking and wanted to know about a new ring. They asked him about a new ring putting on there. And can their plumber hook their pipeline into, because they may have to run a new line. So can they hook it into the meter side there? Like,
Ron has to make the connection in the pit.
that's what I was thinking, that
Yes.
he has to be the, and
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's liable for us, we don't know if they did it right, or, and then we won't know if the leaks.
so, that's what I was.
And then they
even
run it
though
over
it's-
to the pit and everything.
Hook up and disconnect would be yours. You
Yeah.
don't want them touching it.
That's what I was thinking, I mean, with, Jason was kinda like,
Actually, a lot of communities messing with the meter pits are considered a crime or ordinance.
yeah, because see, we
Yeah.
sued that one dude.
Yeah.
But since Jason's been in it and everything, he was kinda alleviating that maybe they could, I said, I don't
No.
think so. I said, I don't think we can let them touch that.
They can run their line over to there, yeah, but Ronnie's crew
Okay.
has to make the connection.
Okay, that's at their expense or our expense.
At their expense.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay, what else?
Monthly water adjustments, which really isn't anything other than a couple of shut-offs. 2 of them are still off. One of them's left town, I'm pretty sure. The other one, I don't know what's going on.
Mhm.
So you just sign that.
They did pay by credit card, she said, so we're gonna confirm the credit card cleared before we do anything on dismissing the case.
Oh, okay.
I believe it cleared.
And then, I did make it, I don't know, this supposed to be board approved or not, I never board approved it. We went over on our budget for, our CCI fund. We only had $2,000 allocated in it for the budget. And we had paid Brian to repair those buildings and this building, and then we had paid Midwestern roof installers. So now that was over our CCI fund.
Midwest, was that for the ventilation?
I think so. And so I took Brian's, because theirs was $14.94, and I put it against our rainy day because we hadn't used anything on our rainy
Yeah,
day this year.
that's fine.
So just to let you guys know that. But this is all, as of right now, unless I find something, which I'll get started here in the middle of the month, this is all of our year-end balances. Because I have till March the 1st to get all that stuff
Okay.
away.
I think the one you're looking at, Dale, what Kathy puts together is those that we have some discrepancies
Right.
on, and gives us an idea of those that are non-payment, et cetera. So she shares that with the board at each meeting and gives us some indication of what's going on.
Well, like, I have to go in and charge, if there's a shut-off, I have to go in and charge the shut-off.
Right.
This is any adjustments that I make in the billing system, and then I've got verification from you guys that that's what I did and why. So I've come up with that report.
That's good, yeah, it's good, you look at
And
it,
see-
you say exactly.
And then if we get audited, then I can say, yeah, I showed the board that I made these adjustments and this is why. I mean, because I could go in and adjust my water bill and you guys would never know.
Right.
Show it's paid. But this way, there's some backup of just some trial and balances and internal controls,
That'd be a bad idea.
so.
That one came in the paper.
That's a good deal there, Kathy, it
so-
really is.
Yeah, but she's done a nice job with that.
And then plus water, then I'm pulling the community building, the churches, and we've got to get a meter at the park.
That's
That
what I
way
was
we
gonna
know
ask,
if there's a
did we-
leak, otherwise we don't know if there's a leak. I read it every month.
Right.
And it bills it, so I just go in and credit that off, but I'm billing it, or I'm seeing, so we know that we could have a big leak and be looking for it and not know it's one of these facilities.
Right.
Then we're down to the last unaccounted metering would be at the firehouse. And that's a very large line. And probably when you were on before, there was even discussion about whether to put a meter on there to check
Yes, we did.
monthly. Again, it was the cost, and Ronnie Black said because of the cost, he would discourage us from looking at it, but we need that accountability. We need to know what's being used.
Well, yeah.
So that's something we need to get, we'll get a quote from Ronnie on and see what it's gonna take.
And plus, now Tom has to do the reports that he has to show for water loss, so now that's another reason why I put on here if we've had a fire or if we have a major leak, that he'll know when he looks at that that's why that's really high and he can account for that.
And we didn't probably only pumped about 1,000 gallon out here
Okay.
on that fire. So it was a minimal amount of
And
water.
I wondered about that because I thought it didn't really justify showing anything, but I
No,
thought, well,
it
still
was
it's there if we ever had
We
to,
were very fortunate there.
so we're trying.
Yeah, we talked about the park meter needing installed at the last
Yeah,
meeting, so
we've got
we're
it.
working on getting.
Yeah,
we
so
have
all she
one.
had just get Jason to go put it
Yeah.
on.
Okay, I thought we had to look to see if we even had a spare meter.
I don't think we do or not.
I think it probably had a meter at one time because the lid showed it had one, but, we had that flood over there. We had all kinds of problems there a year or two ago. So he just needs to put a meter on that.
It's town balance.
You look back on the right, it's got December, that's each month I have to balance, but December over there shows you the ending balances of each, where we stand right now in those funds.
With all the listed on here, you ever have a discrepancy?
Yeah, and I gotta find it. You want it to be zeros at the bottom. Like I was off on one of them, that one, I was off and, it shows up $65.12, and so the first thing I did, I forgot to put in my deposit tickets,
Yeah.
so.
And that was water. That's my copy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to do what he was looking at that, I printed this off. Just so happened someone asking for sewer rates the size of about 800 people or so they had some response, so I just printed that off for your information. I'm kind of keeping an eye to. Any questions?
So I looked at that one sheet, and you had 3 accounts in arrears, I guess, is that?
Probably the water account there, that's
Yeah.
up there at the top.
No.
No, your other list you had there a minute ago. Not that
Second
one,
page.
the other one, yeah. It showed who you adjusted for.
Oh, yeah.
Is that up to date?
Yeah. Well,
No, that was the 1st of December. I'll read water meters tomorrow, this week.
Okay, no. The people's behind, I guess what I'm trying to say. Is that all the accounts that are behind that's listed? You showed 3 or 4 people in there and you did.
the top one.
Shut off.
Yeah, they were shut off.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were way behind.
All right.
They get so far and then they get shut off. Yeah.
Well, see, when I was on last time in Jefferson, we had a lot of trouble with people paying their water bill, you know. And honestly, we kind of let them slide there just a little bit. My question is, those 3 are shut off. Is there more than that in arrears is what I want?
Yeah, but it's not bad.
Okay.
It's not bad.
She keeps a track of totals and how they're doing, and if they're making payments to
Well,
her.
so I guess my real question is, where do we make that determination at when we're going to shut them off at? I mean, what's the criteria?
Normally, if they're to 3 months, because some of them pay, like, they'll pay the middle of January, they're paying their December bills.
Mm-hmm.
So like right now, when I read the meters this week, this is 1st of January, I look and see, number one, how high their bill is, because some people's higher than others. But if they haven't paid me October's water bill, and I've not heard anything out of them, and they're habitual, constantly I'm arguing and fighting to get it paid,
Right.
then I'll write on there and tell them it's not paid by the end of the month, it's going to be shut off.
So basically, we're looking at a 3-month.
Yeah. And most time they will get it caught up. Now, you have some that just think they can pay whatever they want to pay and you don't hear from them. And
Right.
so you send them another one and you do that so long and then it's like, okay, I'm done. You know, but if you call, and I've told anybody that's called me, you call me, I will work with you, but you live up to what you tell me you're going to do. The first time you lie to me, forget it. I'm done. Don't lie to me.
I'm just curious.
So I will work
I mean,
with
it's not
anybody.
curious, it's a problem, you know. But,
Yeah. Yeah, I'll work with
Used to be
anybody.
a big dollar amount problem.
Right.
We were way out, and she's trimmed it back to like 90 days. Is the worst.
Because I knew it was a big problem.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's not too bad right now.
That's it, 'cause she
It's kind of the
reaches
same
out to
ones
a
that
lot.
you kind of deal with all the time, that you gotta, there's one we can't shut off because it's in their basement. I'm gonna knock on their door and say, let me in so I can turn your water off because you won't pay your bill.
They got ground up and cut it off.
So, yeah, we need to get that. Like, that's the last one we have in the basement.
Going on thing.
But mine used to be that way, though. You couldn't shut it off unless
Yeah.
it went to my basement.
There were a lot of them.
There were a lot of them like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I understand people, the way your checks hit your house, that, you know, some people get it paid 2 weeks, but some of them, I want to tell them exactly when Christmas is going to be next year. I can tell you today when it's going to be, so you can plan accordingly, you know, but yeah. So, but it's not bad.
Everything else there?
No, everything's,
Nick?
Did you want to talk about the reserve officer?
Brady was going to bring to us a proposal for a possibility of having a reserve officer. He will do that at the next meeting. And what his thoughts are, it's not going to cost the town any salary or any uniform. The only thing it would cost the town for is insurance for that other officer. And I don't know what those numbers are.
So he's wearing a uniform now, the town marshal uniform, I would assume, or something. So how's it? I mean, your reserve's going to have to wear a uniform to make arrests.
I'd like to hear from Brady's report is whether or not.
He can't do that unless he's in official gear.
Yeah, it was my understanding that that person would buy their own uniform.
Oh, okay. All right.
That from talking to Brady, that they would actually buy their uniform
Okay, I
themselves
misunderstood then.
as part of the reserves.
So we have to pass an ordinance. I forwarded that to the town email, the actual code on that. But we have to establish by ordinance a reserve officer and lay out the criteria for it and how it operates.
So what was the theory behind the reserve officer?
Well, the theory is that it doesn't lessen the number of hours that we require of Brady. It doesn't change his salary, and it doesn't cost us another salary. His thought was you get a lot more coverage than just 30 hours when you use a reserve officer.
So, well, where is he going to get paid from?
He does not get paid.
So he's a volunteer.
He's
He's a
He's a
volunteer.
volunteer.
They have to go through certain hours per year law enforcement training and things to be able to be a reserve. But the benefit to them, if that's the question you're looking for, is that they get their foot in the door as far as I've done this on the job training. So
Okay.
when, say, the sheriff's department or another town comes open, they've kind of established themselves with their foot in the door.
So he would be working hours different than Brady, or would he be overseeing? Brady would be overseeing him.
I assume he'd be working different hours than Brady. That way the town has more coverage.
Yeah.
I mean, they could overlap some too, I suppose. I mean, Rockville has reserves that overlap with their regular officers sometimes. So.
I know Rockville does it. You said Montezuma does
Montezuma
that.
does too.
I don't know if Rosedale follows that path or not.
I'm not certain. I know Montezuma and Rockville both do, among other communities.
So
Did these
that was
other communities end up and pay their reserve something though?
You know, I'm not certain about that. They have part-times for Rockville that they pay, and then they have reserves. I don't think the reserves get paid for Rockville. I think the part-times get paid for Rockville is my recollection.
Okay.
So every community does things differently, obviously, but...
I was just wondering what the
Yeah.
norm was to make sure we didn't get ourselves into something where they're going to come back and hit us up and saying we'd like to be paid.
Well, I mean, they may ask for that, but you're not going to be required to do it.
And I've already told Brady that we have no line item in there for additional monies
Right.
for that. And so the budget is set. And he quickly said, no, they don't expect any pay. They don't get any pay
It's
for their
just the
time.
experience.
It's the on-the-job
and
experience. And then
and
when
the
the
hours.
job they want comes open, they can list that on their resume and say, hey,
Right.
I've been doing this, that. Or like if your position came open, they could come to you and say, hey, town of marshal position's open. I've been your reserve the whole time.
Yeah.
Would you let me have it? I mean, that's kind of,
So you said they've been to training already.
they have to go to, I think it's like 16 hours a year of law enforcement training. It's in the statute that I forwarded. I believe it was 16 hours, and then some weapons training and things. That there's a citation in that statute that directs to another Indiana code leak that talks about there's psychological training, there's firearms training, a number of other different things in a list that they have there on what they have to do. But it falls in line with what the sheriff department reserves would do or the town of Rockville reserves would do. It's just governed by Indiana code. But I didn't get a chance to print it, but I did forward it to the town email, so it's in there.
He will be here at next meeting and can
Okay.
go
Can
into
you
that.
forward those email to us?
Kathy.
And if we're going to look at that, then would we want to consider having the car put back up here? That way,
See, those were all questions when Brady,
We'd
I
have
mean,
to
we'd have to
ask.
have. For logistic questions.
For the reserve to be able to operate, he's going to
You
have to be in the marked vehicle.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So it needs to be where he's not having to. I don't want to chase it down, but really it should be here. to
Well, I
where-
think we need to weigh the pros and cons of that, and
That'd be good questions for Brady too. So.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, my thing is I mean, I don't know. We didn't let Jeff take it home, so why are we letting Brady take it home? That was
Well,
my thing.
Yeah, we went through that when we interviewed and what we were trying to accomplish by this. So,
I mean, what I never did hear. What is the reason we're letting him take it home?
well, if he's called to something here in town, he would have to leave his house, come in, get in the car, turn around and go to the scene. Whereas right now, he just jumps in the car and
But that's not any different what Jeff was doing when we didn't like taking
I don't
off.
disagree with that.
I mean, that's one thing
Yeah.
I'm looking at is that the car's clear up there and we have the garage here. I just didn't understand when we worked so hard to
Because
get
it
it
was,
here.
it was quicker response, because he has his, unlike Jeff wasn't full-time sheriff or deputy, where Brady was deputy, so he always has his radio on and always was listening. That was one advantage of hiring somebody that was already like a deputy. So he's already doing it, and he knows if the response is here and he's off, he could go ahead and he can hurry up and come here real quick and respond and be on duty if something.
We just decided at
I
the
say, I
time.
just heard some people
So
question,
that's why
well,
we
if
didn't
brought
write
it back to
anything
town,
up.
why are we letting it back out?
Because
I
it
can't
was
answer that.
Right,
question.
because it was like a trial base, just to
It's
kind
what
of
I-
see
And I said it was a
how.
trial basis, but I
To
just,
see
I don't
how it
know the
was.
answers and you come to the meeting and
I
ask.
would assume it depend on where he lives too. You
That's
know,
a-
some of
that's a-
that
a
consideration.
piece of
Right
it.
now, he lives pretty close, I think, right?
Not real
Well,
close.
No.
I think he lives in Waveland, or,
No,
Still
you
live in North Small Hall, don't they?
Yeah, north,
Yeah.
Yeah.
off of High Bridge Road. It's all a judgment call that we're gonna continue to evaluate
So that's
and decide, you know, is it working, is it worthwhile, is there a problem with it? And
because
then we'll
he
make a
was
decision.
tracking mileage too, somewhat on that car for us. So that way we can kind of get an idea of the usage of the vehicle when he had it.
See, there, in the past, and I'm going back a ways in the past, we would have people in the car that was going 15 miles in any direction outside of town, just because there was activity going on. And that's not what was the purpose of the car. And that was one of the reasons it ended up in town originally, was because we had that problem. If we can curtail that use and we can curtail any issues that we had in the past, you know, we may or may not stay with the situation as it is. What else, Nick?
Well, we talked about the corner store. We talked about the debt collection. We just talked about the reserve officer and the ordinance that we'll need to create. I'd forgotten about the building permit, so I'll get that drafted. Town marshal contract. You and I talked about one of our outstanding ordinance violations and kind of pushing pause on it since they've made some adjustments and things.
Right.
So I won't further on that. Small claims, we don't have anything pending now that we've been paid on the last one, assuming that cleared in my trust account. So that's all I really have going right now. And then the letters to the current owner of the store and then the former owner of the store. That's a 30-day too on the demand letter for the concrete being damaged. They get 30 days. And then after that, we can file suit if we have to.
Okay.
So.
I will tell you that I had a couple of opportunities here recently to talk to Brady about specific properties and the things that I see that needed to be done. And he told me today that he'd already touched base with all of them except one, and one he's trying to find out where they live. It's the one on North Main that we've talked about.
You had an address on him, didn't you?
You'd have to tell me the name, not an address, probably.
Well,
I think he has an address because he's.
there's an address in Rockville.
Okay, I was gonna say, because you filed a small claims on him. You
Okay.
paid it.
Oh, yeah, he did pay small claims.
Because I didn't know he was in
Yeah, he's in
Rockville.
Rockville. He was having health issues.
Yeah.
He was in the hospital. So, but yeah, I know I'd get a hold of him if that's the one Brady's missing.
That's the one Brady is missing.
Yeah, just tell him to get hold of me and I'll give him the address.
Okay. Well,
I think we're good.
good to hear.
That's good.
What do you have for us tonight? Anything?
All right, yeah. My name's Bill Thomas. I live there, 147 Main. I've been having water problems tremendously. I mean, it's bad. Since July, I've spent a little over $3,000 on repairing furnaces and getting bigger sump pumps, hoses, all that. I had water gushing up through the basement floor, at least that high. And it's a lot of pressure there. I don't know what, you know, what the main problem is. I don't know why it's doing that. Because I don't know what the water system is here in town, you know. I don't know. But for 6 years, I moved here in 2015, and for 6 years, I had no problem whatsoever. Everything was bone dry. And when it floods, I mean, it's like that.
So you're saying it's just recently that this has been occurring? It's just recently that this has been happening?
First flood was in July of 21.
Okay.
And the last time was last month, December 10th, 11th, whatever that storm was, my third.
Don't you live down beside Mark Smith?
No, right next door to him, yes.
Yeah.
He had problem when I moved in, you know, I think. I think he's got his problem solved. I don't know what went on there at all.
That's where the town, Kevin, fixed that drain out in front of Mark's house.
That's
Yeah,
I
what
was
Mark's
thinking.
issue was, his sump pump was pumping outside and running right back in the basement. It was just circulating the same water.
Yeah, it's coming across the drive.
And the line that ran out to that drain from his house was plugged. And then we worked on that pit out there for
Right.
that main drain. So I think that probably corrected some of his problems. Our responsibility was the drain as it runs down the road in front of the residences. And we've had that all cleaned and repaired in the last year or so,
Yeah,
that we redid all that.
year to 18 months, yeah.
Do the drains from my basement go out to the road? See,
There's
that's-
no
does
way.
anybody
I
know that? You know, I need to find out something because I can't go on and find furnaces that,
yeah, sure.
but it was up 3 feet in my basement, 3 feet.
That's pretty common for basements in this town to be wet.
Yeah.
It is pretty common.
When I moved here, I noticed a lot of the hoses going out, you know, toward the road. But
Yeah.
it's only been dry for 6 years. That's what I can't figure out.
Do you think maybe your drain got somehow crushed in your yard and it's backed up instead of getting out to the road?
How can I get that much backup from just rainfall? You know, I'm
I mean, we
not
have had a lot of rain
exaggerating.
lately, but
There's a lot of pressure there. A
Does
lot
that-
of pressure.
Does that tile that end up and goes to that corner we fixed, does it go on down?
It goes quite a bit south of his house on the east side of the road and runs all the way down to the double wide, okay, on the corner down here at
Right.
Walnut. And then it goes under
Who's on the road?
and then goes to the west all the way through Raymond Fox's old apple orchard and out through.
but if it were the problem, you'd have other homes being the same problem, I would think.
Yeah,
Unless
That
they're
problem
all
was-
basements.
we had crushed tile.
Yeah.
And Ronnie Black's crew dug that up and actually bored and cleaned all that out.
Does
So-
the water flow from like town to the south?
It goes
Off
from
street
the,
or
it goes from the south up to this next corner, Walnut Street.
where that big creek's at?
Yeah, and it
Okay.
goes under the road there and heads straight west through that low area, all the way back to that creek
Where that
in the
little
back.
bridge crosses?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the direction that flow comes.
So he would probably be hooked on that tile that comes from the south up to that corner?
You know, I don't even know how to speculate where people put their drains.
Right.
Isn't there a schematic or some kind of doesn't the town have to have something like that?
The drains
All of
we
those
done.
drains were private.
I know it's a long time ago.
Yeah, those were all private drains that were put in for those basements and those homes were put in. And so there was nothing ever,
Generally, you don't have that unless you have a wastewater system. Usually, if you have a wastewater system, you have a schematic map of where all that runs. But here, all we're dealing with stormwater. And so it's not.
I guess what I need
processed.
to know is just what am I supposed to do?
yeah.
I mean, I can't leave the house if it's raining outside. I can't leave. I can't. And I've got two sump pumps down there now, pumping water. So when it rains.
If you drill through the floor, does it spout water or is it coming in
So,
from
so does
the
it come through
sides?
the walls, the floor, or what?
The walls are dry. Walls are dry. It comes through the drain. I've got about 3 rooms down there in my basement, and every one's got a drain, and it just, it's, you know, I blew the lid off, and it's just, you know, it's like shooting out high when it rains hard.
Tile's gotta be plugged.
I'd say you got a tile plug going out somewhere.
Now, and when the tile hits the town's, what is it, sewer drain or storm drain, whatever?
Storm drain.
Now that coming from my house, does it go with the water flow? I mean, does it come in at an angle, or does it, you know, that could make a big difference too.
It just
Depending on
who
what flow of the
installed it,
water,
it
you know, which way it goes.
I wish we could help you on understanding that part of it. We just don't have anything to get. Ronnie Black has worked, his crew has worked in this town quite a bit, and they have a pretty good understanding of some of these drains.
Okay.
And since they worked on that in the last year or so, he may have some kind of an opinion about how that connects there. I would find it unusual if it didn't go towards the west from your house, out along the street, because if you went back to the east, I don't know of a drain down that alley, that right of way, that runs behind all those houses. Doesn't mean it's not there. I just don't, we've never uncovered any.
Any suggestions on what I can, what my next move would be?
Yeah.
Because I can't go on mine first.
Is-
$3,000 in 6 months is what I've spent.
My suggestion would be call UMAC, and we can get you that number, and he'll come and look at it. And I don't think there'll be any cost for him to come and tell you what he thinks, and even give you some kind of an estimate on what it would take to make that right. But we just do not have anything to draw on to know where those drains go.
He'll have more knowledge about the town than anybody else would, though.
Yeah,
You're talking about Ronnie Black and Ron?
Yeah.
I don't know.
yeah.
He might have something to run through and do a roto-rooter on that to maybe see if it is plugged, maybe.
Well, and he might be able to do a dye test, drop something in that drain and see if it comes out to the main drain. That will tell you if the,
I mean, it looks like it's going toward the road I can see down when the water's all gone, I can look down in there. It looks like it's about a 4-inch tile, and it looks like it goes toward the road. It runs east and west right there.
I would say there is an option, and you're welcome to ask Ronnie about that. They can put a backflow preventer on a line like that. So if you're afraid of it coming back up through that tile, they can put a backflow preventer which will allow water to pass only one way, and then it'll close
Something
off.
like a check valve type.
It's a check valve, exactly, yeah. And that, you can ask him about that and see if that's even a viable solution.
Okay.
I have not heard anything from Mark for a good while, so I don't know if there's any.
I haven't noticed any water coming out of that pipe that he had out there.
Yeah, I think that pipe, the original pipe that went from that house may have gotten opened up, is what he ended up doing.
I think he was having a problem. I think his walls were leaking a little too.
Yeah.
I don't think his was coming up.
Well, originally he was pumping outside of the wall, not too many feet, and then it would just come right back in. My suggestion would call UMAC or Ronnie Black, and just ask him to come over and take a look at it and see what their thoughts are.
Okay. Appreciate that. That's all I was needing.
So let us know if we can.
Direction to go, you know.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh. Anyone else have anything for the town?
Well, talking about that, our favorite drain on the inside turnover is plugged again there at the highway. The skating rink out there.
Yes,
Yes.
which is a state highway.
It's the state highway there.
Yeah.
Do we have to call every time we
Yep.
have that thing cleaned?
Yep. Sure do.
That amazes me.
Don't know if it's the grate that's that's covered. I mean, they put that new one in,
Right.
that new drain box, so I'm hoping it's there and not the actual sand that's filled that line again.
Right. Yeah, but last time they got in that, it had to come all the way clean past your house, all that right there, yeah.
And that hasn't been collecting water that long.
No,
Like
just the last couple,
yeah.
3 rains.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that lower that all that rock goes in there?
Well, it's supposed to be.
I mean, it's lower so that rock travels in there is what I meant. So that doesn't help.
You know, so I was just sitting there thinking, I was surprised they didn't have that black topped around it, just so that way the rock doesn't wash back in there.
We had a real challenge getting them to do what they did.
Yes.
You're your mistake.
That
We got a
was,
real
that was an ordeal.
And you really probably can't even hardly call out here because they can't do anything until the people up there tell them what to do. And that's just like they threw a fit out here when they told them they had the blacktop out here, and they said, we can't do it out here by High Markers because they got that drainage tile that was broke. They said, nope. That's why they had to do it, because they ordered them to run that. They couldn't fix that first.
This gentleman just left here. I feel like there's a tile broke somewhere else. It's not his. The water's come back, least path of resistance, back through his tile, back in his basement. There's something else feeding. Because water is a lot of hydraulic pressure behind water. I have something in my basement. If it's not running, we're storming and the power was off, I'd have a foot of water in my basement in an hour.
Yeah.
I can believe it because it's a clay soil around here.
That's why I have a generator sitting out there. Just peace of mind. That damn thing at fire, power's off, my sump pump's running. So,
Now, he was dumping the water outside the house originally, and then now they've extended to
Yeah.
get the water away. But something is pushing it back up that drain.
well, yeah, I think where that water was going to originally is plugged. Now it's just clay tile, laid in. So let's find a way to get back toward his house. Because he said he's lived there, 6, 7 years? Been
6
dry?
years. It's been dry.
So, yeah, there's a problem with tile somewhere else. I don't think it's just tile come from the house. It's another tile. I think it's not letting the water go where it
I
probably
think
should be
if he
going.
gets a hold of UMAC, then that will be helpful, because like you said, if he puts that valve on it, then if it is coming from that tile,
Yeah, right.
wherever,
We've
then
You
it
can
can back.
pressurize to the point where it busts that valve, though. I've had to do that before.
We've used those valves. That's not, they're not 100%, trust me.
Yeah.
Just depends on the pressure that's coming back on.
It,
But we could find out if
Yeah.
it's something the town's problem, I don't know.
Well, we know the drain is open in front,
Yeah.
so.
But the question is, how
And we
far
know,
back did
we
the
know
drain-
it didn't cause, opening that did not cause the problem, because that's been,
no, that's true. That's
so
been a while ago, so yeah.
so I don't know how to answer him. He has a problem.
But the problem is, that be coming down that alley behind him the right away, even because that's slope back there. I mean, it could be a tile back there even.
Sure.
He could
That's
have
a problem
neighbor
with
draining
tiles.
water into his. There's a lot of neighbor could have.
Yeah,
water
I feel
leaks
sorry for him,
draining
don't get me
into-
wrong. Man, I've had water in my basement twice up over my knees, and that's not fun.
But then that after 6 months, why is he just now showing up? You didn't ask him.
Yeah.
Well, because it just recently happened again. He had the one in July, he said, and then December, so it's kind of concerning. 'cause-
We had 2 sump pumps at my old house, and it was still holding water in the basement. It was pumping here, pumping here.
Yeah.
Anything else for the town? Then we'll stand adjourned. Thank you.